The search party found the first clue before dawn, a single white pump, soaked through a dew and flecked with what looked like rust-colored mud. But the congregation of Mercy Hill Church swore they had seen Pastor Micah Lawson's wife, gentle, soft-spoken Evelyn, wearing those very shoes just hours before she vanished. No one wanted to say the word blood. Mercy Hill was a kind of rural church where secrets baked in the wooden beams. Everyone smiled too quickly, forgave too easily, and whispered too loudly after service. Pastor Lawson, a man who spoke of holiness as if he had invented it, ruled the pulpit with calm authority. His sermons were warm, instructive, and always strangely personal, less about God, more about temptation, sin, and the monsters inside all men. Evelyn, his wife of 15 years, was the polar opposite, timid, with a voice like cracked porcelain. Many said she seemed afraid, but no one asked why. Not here, not in Mercy Hill. Rumors had swirled for months. Missing church funds, stolen prescription pads, Evelyn's sudden weight loss. But none stuck long enough to matter. Then a new member joined, Lila Sutton, a 23-year-old with a choir voice and a smile that lingered too long on the pastor. That's when everything began to rot. Mike and Lila's affair wasn't born out of passion. It was born out of obsession. Lila wanted the life Evelyn had. She wanted the status, the ring, the little blue house with the white shutters. But Micah, he wanted something darker, something that simmered under his sermons, something that made him stare too hard at sinners and speak too softly about redemption. He told Lila that Evelyn was fragile, that she had breakdowns, that she was medicated to the point of confusion. Lila believed him because she wanted to, but Evelyn wasn't fragile. Evelyn knew. She had read the texts. She had recorded the late-night phone calls. She had even followed them once, watching her husband hand on Lila's thigh as they sat in the church parking lot under the dead streetlight. And Evelyn had secrets of her own. She kept them in a lockbox beneath the floorboard of their bedroom closet, photographs, receipts, voice memos, everything she needed to destroy Micah. She just needed courage. 2 days before her disappearance, Evelyn confronted her husband. Micah didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He smiled, a strange, slow smile that never reached his eyes. "You don't want to do anything foolish," he said. "People already think you're unwell." That night, while Micah was supposedly at a deacon's meeting, Evelyn visited Lila. She told her everything. She begged her to leave him. Lila slammed the door. But later, just before midnight, Lila drove to the Lawsons' home in a panic. She had found threatening notes on her windshield. Anonymous, sharp, accusatory. "He said he loved me," Lila whispered to Evelyn. "But I think he's lying to both of us." The two women talked until nearly 3 a.m. They made a plan, a reckless, desperate plan. They would expose him. According to Micah's statement later, Evelyn left the house at dawn to go for a walk. He claimed he didn't notice anything strange until hours later. But the neighbors contradicted him. They heard shouting, a crash, something heavy dragging across the floor. The official search began that evening. But long before police combed the woods, Lila already knew something was wrong. Micah had shown up at her trailer that morning with a different smile, too calm, too rehearsed. "People even ask questions," he told her. "We both need the same story. For the church. For us." Then he handed her Evelyn's necklace. Lila realized, too late, what it meant. When she tried to run, Micah grabbed her wrist hard enough to bruise. "You loved me," he whispered. "And love requires sacrifice." 3 days later, hikers found Evelyn's body near the lake, or what was left of it. The official autopsy avoided disturbing details, but one thing was clear. She had fought hard, and the positioning of the body, almost ritualistic, hands folded over her chest, was deeply unsettling to investigators. But Lila never came forward. Not at first, because she had her own secret. She had helped, not with the killing, but with what came after. Panicked, manipulated, terrified, she had followed Micah to the lake and helped him set the scene. She told herself it was to survive, but guilt metastasizes, and rot always finds light. Detectives noticed Micah's inconsistencies immediately. The missing hour, the bruises on his arms, The fact that his truck's tires match impressions in the mud near the lake. Impressions he insisted weren't his. Still, the church rallied behind him. Mercy Hill loved their pastor. They held candlelight vigils. They prayed for the spirit of confusion haunting the investigation. But Lila was unraveling. She couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't sing in the choir without hearing Evelyn's final screams in the echo. Detective Mara Hensley found Lila sitting in her car behind the abandoned gas station, sobbing into her steering wheel. Lila broke. Everything spilled out. The affair, the threats, the night of Evelyn's death, the horrifying scene by the lake. Everything, except the truth about who struck the fatal blow. Because Lila didn't know. Micah claimed Lila did it. Lila claimed Micah did. Both stories had holes. Both stories had truth in them. Maybe that was the most disturbing part. Days before the trial, forensic analysts found something unexpected in the lockbox Evelyn had hidden. A set of photographs of Micah in compromising situations. None with Lila. All with other women. Years' worth. Blackmail material? Insurance? Evidence she planned to escape? But there was more. A recording. Evelyn's voice, shaking, breathless, whispering into her phone. If anything happens to me, it will be Micah. He says God forgives everything, but I think he's talking about himself. I think he's done this before. Investigators looked again at 2 cold cases from nearby counties, missing women, both connected loosely to Mercy Hill through retreat programs. Micah had been a guest preacher both times. Suddenly, Evelyn's death didn't seem like a crime of passion. It looked like a pattern. But then an even darker twist emerged during the trial. Carbon transfer on Evelyn's nails matched fabric from Lila's sweater, and blood spatter on Lila's shoes. Shoes she swore she wasn't wearing that morning. Placed her at the immediate scene of the murder, not merely the staging afterward. Lila collapsed in court. Micah stared straight ahead, with that same hollow calm. The prosecution argued the lovers killed Evelyn together. The defense argued Lila acted alone in a jealous rage. Micah? He basked in the attention. The jury deliberated for 2 days. They convicted Lila of second-degree murder. Micah walked free. The congregation erupted into praise as he left the courthouse. Mercy Hill welcomed him back as a persecuted man of God. Attendance doubled. Donations tripled. His sermons grew darker, more intense, more captivating. But the detectives never closed the case on the 2 earlier disappearances. And Evelyn's recording, her trembling voice predicting her own death, still played in Detective Hensley's head. 3 months after the trial, Lila was found dead in her cell, ruled a suicide. Micah gave a heartfelt eulogy. He said forgiveness was the highest virtue. He said the devil takes many forms. He said some women were born unstable. Detective Hensley watched him from the back of the church, her hands shaking with anger, because new evidence had come in that morning. A time-stamped photo from a highway toll booth camera. A blurry image. A truck, Micah's truck, driving away from a lake at the exact time of Evelyn's estimated death. The case was reopened, but Micah had already vanished. He was last seen heading west in a rental car, wearing sunglasses and carrying a single suitcase. He left Mercy Hill in the hands of an interim pastor. No forwarding address. No trail. Just a final chilling note left on his pulpit. Confession is wasted on the living. And if Pastor Micah Lawson didn't fear the law, didn't fear exposure, didn't fear losing everything, what was he running from?